Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel where we're doing a K-swap EG Civic. Previous episodes we cleaned up the gearbox and added a new alternator relocation bracket and belt system. On this episode we're going to be fitting an upper coolant housing to make room for my new turbo and manifold. We're also going to be fitting a new swivel neck thermostat housing that's able to delete the heater hoses and put in your own turbo coolant drain and feed lines or temperature sensors. Off camera I installed a new VTEC solenoid from Max Peating Rods and fitted the turbo feed line adapter with the feed line. So currently the problem with this housing is it has this external hose that can't be really blocked off because it goes to the heater hoses, and my car doesn't run a heater core or aircon, so we needed to get a custom one that would also be a slim line to be able to fit the turbo right here and the manifold. As most of you know, we're on a budget, so I've had to go with this eBay special. The build quality actually looks fairly good for what you pay for. Comes with all the seals, and I believe you can swap your top radiator hose neck here to a AN line if you really wanted to. And because your radiator isn't going to be the highest point of the coolant system, you have to have this radiator cap and overflow attachment onto this, as this will be the highest point on the engine and the coolant system. So like I mentioned before, it is very slim and deletes the heater hose. So it also gives you this, I believe it's an MPT thread style, and you can either put in the supplied 90-degree bend in and put off a heater hose if you really wanted to, or you can use that as a coolant feed for your turbo. In this case I've decided not to run coolant lines to my turbo as of now, so I'm just going to blank this off with the supplied block off plug. So this is the Billet swivel neck thermostat housing. This also comes from eBay. They give you a thermostat included. With this case I'm not going to run the thermostat, I'm going to remove it with the circlip that's just holding it in, because I don't really trust the thermostat and I believe I'm not really going to need it on this system. They do give you a bung for if you're not going to run a spare temperature or pressure sensor. They also give you a secondary bung to go in here. Then you got to try fill in your own hole here with whatever you need. I've decided to use this heater hose adapter off the upper coolant housing, and I'm going to use it onto the thermostat housing as a recirculation port from the intake manifold. Before we jump into it, if you're new here, please subscribe. I greatly appreciate it, and let's get into it. Like I said, first things first, I'm going to remove this thermostat. I've heard a few issues going on with these eBay thermostats, so I've decided to just do a delete on it and not use it at all. A massive upgrade from the factory one is this is actually billet aluminium and the factory one is plastic. So plastic deteriorates through the heat cycles over the years, plus this one has heater hoses built into it, so you can't actually block them off because it's plastic. Depending on the type of water pump or the setup you're using, they have different adjustments for each hole. So as a seal for this coolant return, I'm going to be using some RTV. It's good for coolant and oil. So I'm just going to chuck some on the threads and I'll thread it in. I also went down to my local fittings place and just got a bung to go on there for now, as I don't have a temp sensor or a pressure sensor to go on there. Now moving on to that, let's start by removing all the bolts. Boom, just like that it's come out. So with this upper coolant housing off, you can see coolant jackets in the head are actually extremely clean, which is good. Anyways, other than that, let's get the new piece on. So I just double checked just then, and it has 4 new Allen key bolts. So I've already got 2 studs sticking out here, and the nuts won't fit on with the recessed housing. I'm going to have to remove these 2 studs. Just to play it safe, I'm going to be using a bit of RTV to seal this up. I've got seals to go in here as well, but I've got all these other extra holes that these seals don't really cover. Play it on the safe side, as coolant leaks are very annoying. Again, the top radiator fitting does come with an O-ring, but we're just going to put some more sealant on it just to be 100%. Then we have this 45 bend for the radiator cap and overflow, and this does come with the provided O-ring as well for that thread. Next thing now is plugging up this threaded hole at the back that you can use for a turbo feed or for your heater hoses, but Obviously we're not going to be using that for any of that yet. I've tilted this forward just for now to clear the breather here on the rocker cover. But I believe when the engine goes in, the engine tilts back in the engine bay, so this might be okay. I can always undo these and turn it. Also, you have this little bleeder, so if you get air in your system and you need to bleed it from here, you can undo that and let a bit of air out. Obviously we block that off because we're not using heater hoses, but that's pretty much it for fitting the upper coolant housing and the adjustable thermostat housing. So if you guys are new here, please subscribe. The next episode, we're going to be removing the engine off the engine stand, putting it on a crate and fitting the clutch and the gearbox together. And then the episode after that, the engine's going to be in the car. So I'm looking forward to you guys sticking around and seeing your comments in the comment section down below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.